morning, all my true crime listeners. It's so nice to see you back. Today, we are going to do a missing persons case, and it's funny, when I started doing this, I had really kind of been against doing missing persons because it kind of upset me because I have a daughter, and the more I do them, the more I realize that I'm doing some good, that getting the word out there, maybe then another ASMRist will do it, or a true crime person will do a story, or do it again, because, these people have been missing, some of them for 40, 50 years, and there has been no bones, no witnesses, no confessions, nothing. So today is true crime. It is of a sensitive nature, so I'm going to throw out a disclaimer that anybody under the age of 14 not to watch. And even then, viewer discretion is advised. So, I am Jody with All True Crime ASMR, so thank you for your views, thank you for your likes, thank you for commenting, giving me suggestions. Aaron, thank you so much. If I feel like I can help one person, then everything's worth it. And this story is a missing person. Her name is Laurie Partridge. Now, this is the strangest thing because there has never been any sign of her at all. It's just crazy. She got out of school early because she had menstrual cramps, and she started walking home. Only 2 miles was the route from her school to her house. At Joel E. Ferris High School in Spokane, Washington. So she left about 12:30. So, 2 miles, let's say 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the most. She should have been home by 1 o'clock. Nobody was available to give her a ride, unfortunately. So she decided to walk to her house at the 5400 block of South Cluster Road, where she would be eventually reported and missing after she had failed to show up at home or for work that night at Lincoln Heights Theater. She was last seen walking south on Havana Street between 43rd and 49th Avenue. Laurie had 2 general seating Beach Boy concert tickets scheduled, and back then, she would never have missed a Beach Boys concert. I'm sorry. I went. That was my first concert ever. So, everybody loved the Beach Boys, so she would not be just throwing that away. She would not be, if she was planning on running away like the police had suggested, she would, for one, have taken her purse to not miss the concert. She wouldn't be making plans for the future. And 3, she had a fiance that they were going to look for rings that afternoon. So, none of this makes sense. Now, a green Pinto, and I don't know, I just want to explain what a Pinto is. It's a small little hatchback car that was seen near Laurie's body, or where Laurie went missing, on December 4th, 1974. She was so beautiful, she really was. She had blue eyes and long blonde hair and kind of had a curl to it. And she just had a great smile and looked like a lot of fun. The funny thing is that authorities, they did not believe that she had, gone missing, which really bothers me, because if these people would have, put their butts in gear, so much probably could have been done to authorities were unable to determine who used the tickets because the tickets were used. And I was thinking about this, the tickets to the Beach Boys concert. How would they know those specific tickets were used? Because they didn't really have any scanning devices. But I guess they went and, because anybody could have sat in their seat seeing that they weren't there. How did they know that those specific tickets were used, and yet they don't know who used them? You would think that the police would have, or somebody would have staked out that area where she had gotten the seats in general seating. But how did they know that those specific tickets were used? I guess they found they ripped them in half or something. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure why they wouldn't have staked out that area to see who used them. I don't know. She had her whole life ahead of her. And she loved Jesus and children and played music on her guitar. She was engaged to a 20-year-old man. And they had planned to pick out an engagement ring the next day. They were in love and planned on having many children. She loved kids. Loved them. She was actually the oldest of 5 children. And she was actually born. They had previously lived in Fountain Valley, California, and she was born in Santa Monica, California. She was very much loved by her family, and when she was abducted, it tore her apart. This gal was saying her mother was her sister, and it even tears her up to this day not to know what happened to Laurie. She starts to cry, and she just wants answers because there's been no bones, there has been no evidence, there's been nothing, no witnesses. The only thing they witness is a green Pinto. So if you were in that area at that time and you remember anything at all that comes to your mind that seems even not weird, but was in that area, I don't care if it was a leaf blowing the wrong way. You know what I mean? I mean, just call the number that I will leave. So family DNA has been submitted to build a genetic profile in hopes of identifying her body if it is found. Her mother has since passed away, but her father is 91 and is still alive, hoping every day that somebody will come forward with something that will help lead the police. They questioned, it's so weird, because I was thinking, because the green Pinto, the serial killer, Ted Bundy. So the detectives had several potential suspects they questioned, including serial killer Ted Bundy. All were determined unsustainable and unsubstantiated. She had a brown mole on her right cheek. She was wearing a long navy blue coat with a hood, a tan v-neck sweater, and burgundy tan plaid pants. Her shoes were faded blue Oxford denim with a crepe sole. She carried a brown leather purse with a blue flower design and braided shoulder straps. So Laurie is featured on the Ace of Diamonds in Washington's cold case playing cards that are used by the prison inmate. On the internet, that Laurie's purse was found. The contents were found, but her purse, somebody I had read, or somebody who actually knew Laurie some reason and somehow got the information that her purse was found too. But maybe that person took the tickets. Maybe the killer took the tickets to the Beach Boys concert. I'd be curious to know if Bundy went to a concert around that time. If they know that the tickets were used, why can't they figure out who sat there from the people that were at the concert? If you were at a Beach Boys concert in Spokane, Washington in 1974 on December 9th, did you see anybody? Did you notice anybody in general seating that was not supposed to be there? Was she just going by herself? Was she going with friends? It just seems a little bit strange that they knew she was going to this concert, yet by herself. I mean, maybe with her fiance, but usually back then everybody hung out together. It wasn't like today, like with COVID, we're all kind of online. So, I don't know, I'd find that a little bit hard to believe that nobody saw anything. So, if this is something that you've seen, if you saw anything that day, or you were the person who took the tickets at the ticket counter, what did these people look like? They had to have some way of knowing that the tickets were used, and I just don't know how they knew that. It doesn't say either. So, there is information on the internet elsewhere stating that the contents of Laurie's purse were found days after abduction. Now, on her aunt's website, on the Facebook page, it says, "This is not true. The contents of her purse were never found, at least by anybody they know." But all over the, other very reputable websites do say that they were. She was. I don't know. I just find that the whole ticket thing, that one piece of evidence that drives you crazy. Nobody saw anything. The people walking in with their tickets, they know they were used. How back in 1974 did they know that tickets were used by a person? I mean, did they cut them in half? They must have. See, it says, discovered the tickets were used, but authorities were unable to determine who used them. I don't know, I just find that really difficult to believe that I don't know why that bothers me so much. Like, they could figure out that tickets were used, but they don't know by who. Wow. Back in those days. So this is actually something written by her niece. Okay, this is the sister of the victim's daughter. So she says, I just want to get my aunt's story out there. My mother, Kimberly, comes from a family of 6 kids, and she is the fourth Partridge kid, the oldest being her sister, Laurie. Her birth name was actually Laura, but everybody knows her as Laurie, a name she chose to go by. Not many people know this about her. I never got to meet my Aunt Laurie, as my mom was 10 when her sister went missing. Growing up, my mother would talk to my brothers and I about Laurie's abduction. It was very difficult for her, and still to this day she cannot talk about it without crying. It is difficult for all of the surviving family members to talk about. So her grandmother died in 2004, and she never got to find out what happened to her kid, and that breaks my heart. It does break my heart. My grandpa is alive at 91. He has waited all these years for answers. no confessions, no bones, no trace. How can they think that she's dead? Maybe she was taken into slavery. Maybe she's living in a commune. Who knows? Maybe she's waiting to be found. I watched this show once where this woman was actually too afraid to come home because of what her family might think. Isn't that crazy? Like, literally, they had her on, Unsolved Mysteries, and here she called them up and said, I didn't know you even cared. I highly doubt that was the case with this, but you never know. You never know what's going through somebody's head after so long. So, Laurie would not have been a runaway. Her family knows this and is unlikely that she has been held captive for over 40 years. True, but you never know. Until her remains are found and or someone comes forward, Laurie's remaining living family lives in a painful, unknowing emotional limbo. Another thing has been told is we should just put it behind us. That's ridiculous. When you lose a child, when you lose a family member, no way. It doesn't just go away. And I think people say that because they want the people to feel better, but it really doesn't help. Some people just won't understand what it's like to have a missing loved one unless you aren't there in their shoes. It is a pain you would not want to wish on anybody. Can you imagine that sick feeling where you cannot do anything, you have no control, and you're just like, I'd be freaking out as a mother, thinking about, I wanted to grab my baby girl, where is she? I mean, you would just drive yourself insane. I mean, I guess the pain, I don't think it ever never dulls, it changes. Most families of missing cannot just move on. Laurie personally was a caring person. She would never have stopped looking if it was another family member. So we will not stop looking. She is valuable and we cannot give up and hope that someday justice will prevail. She was born May 31st, 1957 in Santa Monica, California. She would only be 61 years old. She was 17 when she went missing, and I just can't believe nothing has been found, not a single bone. There's a lot of hikers out there. People are very outdoorsy out west, so I'm surprised nobody's found anything. That's crazy. My mom's family moved from Fountain Valley to Spokane, Washington in '74. Laurie was a member of the drill team and wrote for the school newspaper. She had many friends and a 20-year-old fiancé. They had planned to live on the family's farm, care for animals, and have many children. They both loved children, loved Jesus, and enjoyed singing and playing her guitar. She was known to play and sing for her younger brothers and siblings and the neighborhood kids. My Mom is Laurie's songbook. Oh, that Laurie had put together with her favorite songs she loved to play as a child. And as a child, I remember looking through Laurie's songbook and imagining what she was like. I'm sure it was very devastating to her fiancé, since they were going to pick out a ring on December 5th, but she went missing on December 4th. Just so sad. She called both her mom and dad, who were each working and could not leave. They told her to stay, and this is important for all of you children out there. When your parents say stay where you are, because then if she would have waited for the bus, it would have taken her home and she would have been fine. Parents know, and I know this is crazy, parents know better because we've been through it. We've had our issues in our times that were almost, or new friends that were taken or abused or beaten up because because they didn't just, take that extra safety precaution. I always tell my daughter, look around you constantly. Do not just blindly walk into the store, check out your surroundings. I mean, I was a, investigator, so when I walk into the store, I immediately say, okay, who walked in the store? What did they look like? And, I've got this long list of questions I ask my daughter, because I feel like, if anything, if she was taken, she could know her surroundings, know her perpetrator if they blindfolded her, and kind of get an idea of maybe who they were, or if she was let go or escaped, then she would know how to find them, give the police some information. And if you feel like somebody is there with you and they're watching you and following you, I don't care how crazy you may feel, they probably are. That is something a friend of mine who is a private detective said, if you think something's happening to you, it probably is. Now, I mean, there are the exceptions, okay? But if you think that, you're being cheated on or you're being followed, especially, you probably are. It's a gut feeling you have. Follow your gut. So, the police initially wrongly classified her disappearance as a runaway, even though her family insisted she would never run away. And this is where they could have really made a difference, getting on it right away. Maybe they could have found her body. Maybe the person that was, maybe they were abducting, sexually assaulting her, doing whatever, was still in the area. Maybe they could have shut down the freeway. There's a lot of, maybes if they would have just listened to the family and acted on it. And that's too bad. So they were able to build a timeline where Laurie was and the approximate time she disappeared based on accounts of people who saw her walking by. So people saw her walking by. Did they see her get into a car? Did they see a car following her? Did they see somebody in the bushes? Did they feel an eerie presence? Did she walk down into a ditch or a creek, or is there a river? Any of these things, if you were in that area at that time, think about those people who saw her. Think about every detail, even if it's so insignificant, like she waved her hand one way and maybe it caught your attention, and just, subconsciously it might come back. You never know. Crazier things have happened. Maybe she went like that and you just happened to look over that way, and what did you see? People don't think that stuff is important, but it is. I don't know, I saw trees moving in that specific area. That may help find her body. Because you hear all the time of where, people are found after so many years and basically right behind in their backyard. So anything you see, anything you heard is not insignificant. Remember that. Numbers of the people coming in. Her mom had numbers written down. Police refused to let them. I don't know why. As they said, it would hold up people getting into the concert. Well, who the hell cares? There is a kid gone missing. A good kid. Later it was discovered that the tickets were used because there were general seating and all the tickets came in. Okay, that's how they figured that out. But authorities were unable to determine who used them. It was the biggest lead they had. In 1974, a teenage girl that was riding her horse around 4:15 p.m. and spotted a man in his 40s and 50s in a field holding a rifle, standing with a girl she thought who looked like Laurie, and she described the clothes as to what Laurie wore. Okay, where in this field and what? They were standing in front of a vehicle described as a white truck with a van back-ended and a darker was near the route Laurie last walked. When the witness arrived home, she told her mother that she saw what she saw. Later that night, they saw Laurie's story in the local news and contacted police, but the police did nothing about it. Why? I just want to scream into the microphone. Police also received reports about a green Ford Pinto station wagon in the area, possibly following Laurie. Days later, someone also contacted police and made a report that they believed they spotted the missing 17-year-old being held captive in the back of a Pinto. These leads never went anywhere either. Why not? Were they not followed up on? That is so... Laurie's dad and fiance followed up on, including them driving to Idaho. Again, nothing viable was found. Obviously, she was very loved by her family. So here are the potential suspects that were questioned by detectives. Serial killer Ted Bundy, Stanley Burnson, and hundreds of interviews and polygraphs were conducted. All were determined unsubstantiated. Bundy was determined to be in Utah at the time for disappearance from his credit card receipts. Stanley Burnson was traveling produce salesman who lived in Spokane and had a route close to where Laurie was abducted. My mom requested several times over the years to have detectives question him again, as he is still in prison for the abduction and murders of young women and suspected of killing several more. Well, yeah. In July of this year, this was written back in 2018, the detective on Laurie's case drove out to Walla Walla, where Burnson is incarcerated, and questioned him again. He denied having any involvement in her disappearance. Her ex-boyfriend and fiancé were also extensively questioned. Her fiancé was never considered a suspect. Somebody knows something. You cannot tell me all these people saw her. The girl on the bike, another girl saw her. I mean, in the Pinto. So we know she was probably taken from the truck to the Pinto. Why does that sound eerily familiar? I don't know why that sounds really familiar, like I had read that or heard that somewhere. Like it just gave me chills. That's weird. So I see why they put the ace of diamonds in Washington's cold case playing cards. They are used by the prison inmates. Through research I found, as of 2016, the cards have resulted in approximately 600 tips. Many have proved useless. But the program is indeed considered a success, as the cards have resulted in 9 cold cases being solved. So I take that back. That's interesting. So, if you have any information, I will leave it in the description. But Spokane crime check is 509-456-2233, or National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 1-800-843-5678, or 1-800-THE-LOST, or the tip line at 509-242-TIPS. Go to her Facebook page, like her Facebook page. The more people that get involved, the more likely it is for somebody to come forward. But I don't know why that van then the changing into the green pinto. I don't know why it rings a bell. Another story. I've listened to thousands of these stories, and I know that is from